Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. I'm in New York City today in the world famous Spyscape Museum. We're in the Bond section. I'm next to the DB5 and I'm wearing a full outfit from No Time to Die. It's feeling like a Bond day, isn't it? Well, that's because it is a Bond day. Well, several people, including myself, are going to be taking a very safe trip through the city, visiting some of our favorite Bond brands. It's truly Bond in New York. Actually, let me change that a little bit. It's not just Bond in New York, it's Bond brands in New York. And I want to take you on the adventure. You're going to be able to join the likes of Easy Smiles and Expensive Watches, Bond suits, and dressing like Bond, and myself as we explore some of the New York City-based Bond brands. And I think we've got a couple little surprises for you. So stay tuned for the adventure. Okay, I am here in Crockett and Jones, right here in New York City with Kevin Hill. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you all here.
This is fantastic. So first of all, let's start with some basics. Tell us a little bit about Crockett and Jones.
Sure. Crockett is a quite unique company, still a 140-year-old family-owned business, which is quite unique in this day and age. Still owned by the Jones family. They're still there every day. It's quite unique. You know, you can actually call up and speak to Jonathan Jones, his daughter, son, brother, all work there. It's quite unique.
That's fantastic. Now, we have to, just because of our audience, connect with Bond. You have an amazing display over here of the different items. I do recognize some as going as far back as Skyfall.
Definitely. The Islay boot here is the end scene in the running around on the frozen lake. There's some wonderful stories, stories of Daniel Craig being submerged in a water tank for a full week, and he has this wonderful quote about how they were perfect after that week of being submerged in water. It's always been a good seller for us, particularly because of its utility. Grain leathers are terrific because water tends to beat up off of them. So, you know, it has a hunting heritage, but it's great for the city, great for Brooklyn, great for anywhere. And then we've got the Molten here, which is Daniel Craig's personal favorite.
That's right. He wore these for many years, and then they're seen in the Norway scene of No Time to Die, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So we were very excited to be able to have this for our retail stores. The demand shot up the second that we put it on the site. It was great.
And it's such a casual but classic shoe as well.
Definitely. You know, a simple chukka is very easy to wear. The nice thing about this is the material of rough out suede is very low maintenance upper. It actually gets better looking with time. You don't really need to do much to it. You don't polish it. You could use like a silicone spray or something over time. But the beauty of it gets softer. It gets more kind of distressed. I think that's one of the reasons that Daniel Craig likes it so much.
Yes, and I have a pair of each of these, and I can attest to the fact that they get better with time. Now, this was very special. This is something that came out this year, an homage piece, but James. So not based on any movie shoe, correct?
Correct. It's really the culmination of our relationship with 007. We made the Alex for a couple of the prior films as a tuxedo formal wear shoe. Always been very popular for us because unlike a patent shoe or something like that that is really relegated to formal wear use, this is something that looks great with a tuxedo, but it also could be worn with tailored clothing. So we have this special box with, we only made 500 of these, which is quite nice. It's official Eon Productions sign off on it. This is made from our best leather, hand grade specs with the oak bark tan leather soles. Unique about this is channel stitched, so you really can't see the stitches. Okay. Eventually, you will be able to as they wear down, but it just takes a little bit more handwork, like our hand grade all of our hand-grade shoes. And they have special lasted trees. We've got, a James Bond horn and
All
brush.
emblazoned with 007.
Yes,
and
yes.
Nothing cut out of this. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
Unbelievable display.
and once again, this dropped and we were thrilled. I mean, the response
Yeah.
from all over the world was really great for us, especially during this time when you think everything's locked down, and it's great to see people
Absolutely.
getting excited about
It's
it. And it
incredible.
came out, we thought it was going to be November, and then
Yes.
we released this.
A sign
and
as a
then-
collector item
I
now.
know. And then Eon Productions actually contacted James Fox, who does our website, and said, oh, by the way, we are pushing this back.
Right.
And at first we were a little dismayed, but actually it's given us time to regroup,
Absolutely.
and some of these shoes, just the demand was so high that it takes 8 to 10 weeks to make a single pair of our shoes.
Unbelievable.
So we just were not. We thought we had enough stock ready to go, but we needed some more.
And I want to pay respect to these.
Yes.
Over here.
So we've got Highbury, which is in the No Time to Die as well. This was
And that's
also.
with the City Soul, isn't
It
it?
is.
Yeah.
We changed it to the City Soul. City Soul we've done really well with. It's still made by Day Night for us. A little bit lower profile with the discs as opposed to studs. So it sits a little cleaner when you wear it. We've done so well with this as a company. Most gentlemen like it because you can't even tell that it's a rubber sole.
Oh,
It doesn't
right.
even look like a rubber sole. And then we've got the Camberley, which was an iconic. Funny story about that, we didn't even know what was going to be in the Spectre movie until a customer of ours, an Italian customer of ours, was an extra.
Right.
And he took a picture on his phone.
Oh, my gosh.
And we saw the iconic double straps there. And we thought, oh, okay, we know that's going to be in the movie.
Insane.
And then the Tetbury here is a
Sure.
classic for
Classic.
us.
And that's from Skyfall? Is it?
Yes.
This could be a game. It's like, which shoe does
Exactly.
this Bond film
Exactly.
go to? And oh my gosh.
Exactly. Yeah,
So you've got representation in the last 3 Bond
we
films.
do. Yes.
But on top of that, I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit, is that Daniel Craig's favorite, too, to boot. Excuse the pun.
Yeah. Yes. He's. We've been fortunate to have him shop here. Of course, he loves to shop in London as well. It's really nice. He's a very, very kind of discreet person, and
he should be,
but
yeah.
a loyalist, and that was part of the reason that we got involved in James Bond. And much to our glee, we have officially done it now. So.
Amazing.
I know we're all going to miss Daniel Craig, but whomever is apparently the next James Bond can hopefully be shot in Crockett and Jones as well.
They could do worse, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And first of all, thank you so much for taking us through this journey, seeing the shoes. For some of you, this could have been new, or maybe you were playing the same game of which movie it came from. But it's wonderful to be in your hollowed walls, and thank you for inviting us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you all.
All right, we're going to go back to you. Thank you. And we almost forgot, this is the Mr. White boot that he wears at the Altasea. Very cool boot. Okay, we are here in the Omega store on Fifth Avenue. We are. And I'm joined also by my good friend Kyle.
Hello, everybody.
Easy Smile and Expensive Watches. I can't believe I said that out loud.
You did a good job.
Reasonable watches for what they give you, right?
Yes,
Not expensive.
yes.
Just exactly.
Investment watches.
Investment watches. And we're here to talk about the environment where they're in, because very often we've talked about the watches themselves, correct?
Very often.
But I wanted to speak to you specifically because you've just had an immersive experience. You actually came into New York with your father,
I did.
and you both bought watches.
This is true.
Tell me
This is
about
true.
the experience.
So this is the story. I had come here about 6 months ago to drop off my Seamaster for service. It's old. It's almost 20 years old, and it needed some repairs.
Which Seamaster from what movie?
The Pierce Brosnan one, from Tomorrow Never Dies through Die Another Day.
Gorgeous watch.
It's my favorite still to this day. So it needed some service. It wasn't running properly. It would stop in the middle of the night, things like that. Typical routine things. So I dropped it off, and a few months later, they gave me a call and said, your watch is ready. So I called my dad, and I said, I have to ride into the city to pick up my watch. Do you want to take a ride with me? He said, sure. Came in with me and stopped at the counter in the front of the store while I went upstairs to pick up my watch. and I hear laughter coming from downstairs.
That's never a good
and
sign. That means money's being spent.
I hear bottles being opened and things like that. So I come back down and I see that he has picked out an Omega Seamaster. Like, all right, this is pretty cool. Now the son becomes the father becomes the son. You're coming into
That's
my
a
world.
Superman quote, by the way.
It is.
I recognize it because I'm a geek. Yeah.
This is what we do. So he said, I have to go home and talk to your mother, but we'll see what happens. And my mom's really cool. She wears NPL and stuff. So.
Right. She's in.
We a week later took another ride into the city, and he collected his watch.
Wow.
But when I walked in, the salesman here, Jay, who knows me and knows who we are, big Bond fan, we had a very nice Bond conversation. He says to me, I have some good news for you. I have one. I only have one. And of course, I know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about this, the No Time to Die Seamaster. And I got caught up into the moment. My dad was here buying his watch, and I put on the No Time to Die Seamaster, and I fell in love with it, and I took the plunge as well. So the champagne popped, and we both walked out, the Barbeau boys, with new watches.
Okay, that was the most functional. First of all, I'm going to put this on because the audience should know this is actually my personal one that I loaned for just this moment. But I will tell you, I want to talk about the emotion because I know when I received mine, I did a video on it, and I talked about, even though we haven't seen the movie, which is crazy, we just bought a watch.
Still haven't seen it.
And I'm wearing a suit from a movie that we haven't seen. We still kind of felt like this is an exciting Bond moment. It's a Bond lifestyle moment, which, judging by how you're dressed, and obviously the Tom Ford Spectre, and you've got the Turnbull tie, you live for those lifestyle moments.
Very much.
What was the emotional moment? Because I was getting texts from you, if you remember.
I had to run it by one of my advisors.
His junkie.
Yeah.
His lifestyle junkie.
As you can see, we're all of the same breed. What was your question?
What was the emotion,
What was the emotion behind it?
Elation, excitement, nervousness?
Just excitement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those connections with Bond, and it was a personal moment between me and my dad. So.
Which that part is cool, because I always talk about the father-son moment, and I don't mean to be misogynistic, but those type of family moments where they can share. And obviously, your father's a Bond fan.
Yeah, not as much as we are, but yes.
Nobody's as much as we are.
Very, very true.
Okay.
But he appreciates Bond.
All right, so here's something really cool. So if we go over here, the Omega Boutique here has brought out Bond's watch from Skyfall, which you can see in all its glory here. But this is actually on loan from the Thomas Harris Foundation.
Yes.
No, it's Harris Thomas.
The collection
I don't know
of
why people
Mr.
could-
Thomas.
Yeah, dressing like Bond, and that is the Aquaterra.
I always grew up being told never trust a man with two first names. So.
Like John Jacob Finkelheimer Schmidt?
Exactly.
He's got 9. But what's cool about this is we did a video on this. Were you ever tempted to get a more dressier watch than the more kind of military watch that this is? Or you wanted the more military?
It's funny that you say that because I'm wearing my dressier watch.
Oh, never mind.
So this is the...
That's his DeVille.
This is the DeVille that Daniel Craig wore in partnership with Orbis?
Orbis.
That's it. Orbis.
Like
yes.
yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a beautiful watch.
Thank
is
you.
that the band that it came with?
Yes. Yep.
Wow, that's beautiful and blue. And by the way, since your mom has now become involved with NPL, we're actually holding the Moneypenny watch,
Yep.
which I've never seen up close.
And it's lovely.
It's actually a really nice watch. It's got a beautiful sticker. No, that's ugly. Why did I do that? But it's very simple and it's very lightweight. I mean, very, very lightweight.
I like the green leather.
Yeah, that is like a greenish black or something like that, greenish charcoal.
It's very pretty.
Here, I'll put it against here, so this way the camera person, which by the way happens to be loaned, the cameraman is also loaned from the Harris Thomas Foundation.
It's a very generous foundation we've got there.
All right, so let's bring it back to this. I think the problem in discussing the journey of acquiring some of these pieces, that until you live it, it's very hard to describe. But I think you going through this and sitting in this environment, obviously being plied with champagne, and by the way, lest you think
That always leads to good decisions,
this
right?
is his first glass of the day, which is shocking for Kyle. I think he's
know.
going through withdrawal.
I have to catch up.
He will. But Kyle, thank you so much for sharing this.
A pleasure.
Sharing the experience with it. Thank you to Omega, obviously, for allowing us to play within their lounge, their beautiful space. And if you have an opportunity to get to the boutique here, I will tell you the customer experience is second to none.
Agreed.
They treat everybody the same. They treat everybody like a celebrity. And chances are, beware, because you probably may walk out with an heirloom.
This is true.
Is that safe to say?
Yes, heirloom is a good word.
All right, Kyle, thanks. We'll continue on with the show.
Cheers.
Here we are. We are in New York City at the Turnbull and Asser Townhouse here on Madison Avenue. It is the proverbial Knights of the Round Table here in 2020. Pandemic or none, we're all here. We're all safe. Cheers to us being all safe. Thank you
I'll drink to
to
that.
Turnbull and Asser, Dan Stroop, Eddie Powers. Well, we're obviously here. We have my most stylish friends, and I couldn't pick a better place to do this. Yes, you're all stylish, believe it or not. We couldn't pick a better place. I couldn't pick a better place than Turnbull and Asser. I mean, this is the men's shop of all men's shops here in New York City, and there's a lot. Let's be honest, it's New York. So here we are. We're on the third floor. We're in the men's bespoke room. And Dan Stroop of Turnbull and Asser. James Bond and style, it go hand in hand, of course, but it's more about, what is style? What's style today? Obviously, we're all James Bond fans, but, James Bond influences us. Right. But James Bond is not just style. Style is more than James Bond. And so, Matt, for example, you're here in New York on a day-to-day basis. You live here, obviously.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Upper East Side. Tell me about your style. Tell me about James Bond, how that relates to each other, and actually, quite frankly, how do you go farther than James Bond?
Yeah, so James Bond was one of my earliest style inspirations, like after Mr. Rogers, I'd say. So, but to me,
Welcome to the neighborhood.
to me, I look at James Bond as someone who's both aspirational and accessible in terms of style. Because when I look at what Sean Connery wore, he's wearing, his clothes don't stand out. They look like something that I could see myself wearing, because I can see myself wearing gray suits, light blue shirts, navy ties. That's something that's easy to wear, I'd say. But then there's the aspirational part of it, whereas he's wearing bespoke suits, he's wearing bespoke shirts from Turnbull and Asser, ties from Turnbull and Asser, things that are special in some way. So that's kind of where I see James Bond's style.
Very much so.
Well, it coincides with sort of the old notion of you wearing the clothes rather than the clothes wearing you.
Oh, yes.
You carry it. It could be as bland as anything, but you carry it in a way that maybe someone like Bond would. It fits you. It's been made for you. It could be a grey flannel and a blue shirt, but you walk and you act and you do as you would in something like that. You don't just, something that is maybe more garish. You wouldn't act garish. Bond is a good sort of landmark for sort of acting in a way that is understated but powerful with understated clothing.
I feel like you put that so perfectly, because this is a style. Round table. We'll take your style here, for example. Yes, you're wearing a James Bond tie, but everything about what you're wearing is James Bond, but not James Bond at the same time. You're wearing, I think you talked about a cashmere dress shirt, right? This looks like something that James Bond would wear, but James Bond didn't wear other than the tie. And I think that's where the style part transcends James Bond. But yet, us who have that eye can tell something that James Bond would wear versus not. You still appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah.
And just look at your suit. A double-breasted, looks like very nice wool. And again, a gorgeous Turnbull and Asser cashmere shirt that I'm sure you cut for yourself. Eddie Powers, cutter here at Turnbull and Asser here in New York. So tell us about kind of what's James Bond mean to you?
To me, James is a man. Growing up, I was never the tallest kid in school. I was never the broadest shouldered kid in school. I wasn't very athletic. I was always in sort of artistic side of things. But he had a way of like I said, a way of carrying himself that wasn't, it wasn't bravado, it wasn't macho, it was just essence. It was having confidence in what you're wearing, in the shape of it, in the clearness, like there's just the clarity of everything. There's, this is, it's like buying a pair of jeans you like. You only go to the same place again once you get it right. You know where you're going for your suits. You know where you go for your shirts. You know where you go for your ties. And it's like that absolute peace in that you just look the way you carry yourself. It's not physical prowess. It's not financial prowess. It's just confidence, and that is how he carries himself. And that is what I kind of I took from that early on, growing up watching mainly Connery and Brosnan. But yeah, that's what I appreciated in that, and that's why to me it's very plain, and this is my favorite tie, Bond or not. I like it because it kind of has a sort of New York deco way about it.
I love that about it.
Which I really enjoy.
But I also really like how the blue in the tie matches the blue in your shirt that you're wearing. And I mean, everyone wears light blue shirts. It's just one of the most popular types of shirts, and that is something to me that really appeals to me in that tie, and how that you can wear that tie with the blue shirt, and it just looks perfect.
Thank you.
That's something that I kind of took away from Connery's portrayal of Bond, is that here's someone who seems like 10, 15, 20 years ago kind of figured out how he wanted to dress, and doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about it in terms of like you don't picture him sitting at home with a stack of like GQ magazines thinking about his next outfit.
Because he's always wearing the same
cover.
things. He's always wearing those light blue cocktail cuff shirts. He's always wearing those gray suits, the Prince of Wales check suits, those flannel suits. Or the blue blazer. It's always the same thing that he's picking out of his wardrobe, because he knows what he likes, and he has a sense of fashion. I mean, a sense of style, and he knows what he really wants to do. He knows he has confidence in his style.
Ding ding ding. Thank you.
I think that is something that we see in
Thanks
James,
for tuning in.
That is something that we see in Sean Connery's James Bond style. We also see that in Pierce Brosnan's James Bond style. We see those are really the only two James Bond actors, we think of them as their own James Bonds, that have a consistent style. None of the other James Bonds are as consistent as Brosnan and Connery in what they wear throughout.
I'm going to
their
challenge
films.
you. I'm going to challenge you. The gauntlets are down.
Okay.
I think you'll agree with this, David, that Daniel Craig, I feel like, has the most consistent James Bond style.
You see, I think
I disagree.
He's only had a consistent sense of
got a
style
comment on that too.
in his last three films. From Skyfall to No Time to Die, there is a very consistent look throughout those films. But we are seeing something else in Casino Royale. We're seeing something else in Quantum of Solace. There are some changes that he makes in his style. Part of that is due to different costume designers, which is something that films can. That is a problem that you see in films. If you have different costume designers who have their own vision of the character.
Can I offer something too? Because I think there's a chance that we could be confusing the viewer of this video, and that is the fact that we're talking about Bond as consistent and confident and almost a disdain for fashion, and that's why the style is so consistent. And we're talking about human beings like Harris Thomas and Dan and everybody else here, and Eddie. So I find that I tend to gravitate to things that have a story and a journey. That comes from creating a confidence. So we're sitting in Turnbull and Asser, and I came to Turnbull and Asser, and there are other companies that make Sea Island cotton shirts. There are other companies that offer bespoke. But when I started to follow the heritage and the journey and the connection, not just to Bond, but really the journey that it's taken on as a brand, that actually makes me feel confident that they've been here before me, that I have a template. And anybody here that says that they're born with a style, fashion is adopted, but style is style. If you're born with it, I don't buy it. I think you use templates, Marlon Brando, you use different actors and celebrities, you do Turnbull and Asser, Tom Ford, etc. So I think we're actually much more complicated than any of us are giving us credit for. We're not James Bond, who has disdain. And we're not just individuals. We've used these templates, which I think is why Eddie can come on and say, this is my favorite tie, not because it's Bond, but I have the confidence in wearing it because I enjoy the different aspects of it. You've had your own journey with it. Me, I look at that tie and I know the scene that it is from Brosnan. I'm a Mina bird, and I'll confess to the audience, I wore that tie because Bond wore it. I mimicked. I would dare say that your reason for wearing it is a little bit more authentic than mine, but we still wear it with a lot of confidence because of that. So we all come from different parts of the journey. We just come to the same place.
Yeah, I mean, all that matters is that, you know, that confidence, really. I mean, that confidence during however many times we say confidence, you know, apparently.
Yeah, we
I'll be drunk.
Because we've
See y'all
said
next
that
time.
word quite a few times. But like that, I feel like that's kind of like the reason, that's the essence of not only this character, you know, but also who we want to be and why we would maybe aspire to be that.
Totally.
You know, and to your point about you know, James Bond being both aspirational as well as accessible, that's very true because it is, because these clothes literally exist.
We'll tell you, and this is like confessional time maybe in some cases.
You're
but-
amongst friends.
Well, you would think. I
hate you.
honestly find that I find very quickly when I find something inauthentic because my confidence wanes and I have a perfect case and I'm wearing it. This is the first time I wore the entire Matera outfit from No Time to Die, which, by the way, I'm slowly stripping off. So who knows what I'm going to lose next. But honestly, what I found is I'm not used to button-down collar. I'm not used to, you know, there's belt, you know, loops, but I'm wearing suspenders. It seems strange. Is it going to be a belt or, you know, sorry, braces? Take your pick. So
We don't use the B word here.
We don't.
This is America.
But one of the things is I find very quickly, like there's a trench coat from the new movie No Time to Die. I wore that once for a video, and I'm really finding it hard to revisit it because it didn't give me confidence. I kept thinking about 25% of my brain was, is this too avant-garde for me to pull off, as opposed to a simple Harrington jacket, which is so Steve McQueen and so basic, and there's 50,000 companies that make it. That's easy for me to gravitate to. It's something that I have confidence in.
And
what-
authenticity also, I think, is a piece of it. I mean, you have to wear something that's you, that speaks to
Yes.
you, that you're comfortable wearing, that suits your own personal style.
You know-
If it's inauthentic, it doesn't look right.
Because you know what, as I look at the clothes and I try to figure out, you know, what appeals to me in these clothes, what doesn't appeal to me, why would I want to wear them, why wouldn't I want to wear them, and really what makes them special as clothes besides the James Bond connection. Because any piece of clothing that James Bond wears, I can see something that I like in them. Like I love the design of Sean Connery's cocktail cuffs. I think it's just something that looks elegant, something that
Daniel
I find-
Craig's t-shirt?
Maybe that not so much.
I was going to bring up
okay.
the clown suit, but you
Yeah,
beat
the
me to
clown
it.
suit is something else.
That's a disguise.
And you know, and some of these things, there's something about them as clothing, as style, that has an inherent quality to them that isn't about James Bond. Like there's something, you know, when I see all of Sean Connery's clothes and how great they are, there is something great to them that isn't Sean Connery. I mean, Sean Connery makes pretty much everything better just because of the confidence that he had.
It speaks volumes.
Right, because he had so much confidence. He had more confidence than anyone else in the world, probably, and that made the clothes more appealing.
All right, so I just had to take a quick break and moment just to show you the beauty that's over here. I don't know if you've been to Spyscape. If you haven't, you need to escape to Spyscape. It's an incredible museum to itself, but this is one of my favorite rooms, and of course, it highlights that I'm in perfect form right now because it's the DB5. Now, it is from GoldenEye. It's not from No Time to Die, but one of the most incredible things is you gotta see the inside of this. I mean, certainly it's seen some wear and tear, but look at that. It's got the champagne, it's got the fax coming in from Onatop, and I mean all the nooks and crannies to hold the melted butter. Is that perfect? Is that classic? I think it is. Well, how exciting was that? Well, I hope you enjoyed this Bond in New York or Bond brand in New York tour. I know we had a lot of crazy, good mayhem and time. And the nice thing is, it's always going to be here because Bond is forever and the Bond brands in New York City are forever. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.